Okay, continuing on this particular problem. Hopefully you notice that x minus pi, that does not mean distribute. It means you have to expand it using your tangent difference formula. Wish it was as simple as that. This is not multiplication though. So we split this up as tan of x minus tangent of pi over 1 opposite tan of x, tan of pi. Don't forget, this is still over cotangent of x. Don't forget, it's still plus 1. All right, now, on a lot of these sum difference formula problems, identities, when you use them, you will run into constants. You want to 100% of the time evaluate what those constants are. What is the tangent of pi? Figure that one out. It turns out to be 0. Easiest way is maybe say, what is sine of pi divided by the cosine of pi? Because that is the tangent of pi. Sine of pi is 0. Cosine of pi is 1. Tangent of pi, bottom line, is 0. So replace these constants with simpler constant expressions. I mean, tangent of pi is a constant, but 0 is the simplest version of that constant. So we'll say tan of x minus 0 over 1 plus tangent of x times 0 all over cotangent of x. Don't forget the plus 1. All right, it is a proof. You do have to write those. Now, in your next step, clean it up. I would call this tangent of x over 1 plus tangent of x times 0 is 0. We'll say over cotangent of x. So this whole mess just turns out to be tangent of x. It's tangent of x over 1, which is just tangent of x, still over cotangent of x, still plus 1. All right, next, maybe go to sines and cosines, because we're kind of a long way from secant. So this is sine of x over the cosine of x over cosine of x over the sine of x. Now, as tempting as it might be to want to cancel it out and say that's 1, it is definitely not 1. It is the sine of x over the cosine of x times the reciprocal of the denominator, sine of x over the cosine of x. Plus 1. Oops. Say. So I get sine squared x over cosine squared x plus 1. Sine over cosine is tangent. Sine squared over cosine squared is tangent squared. So you get tangent squared x plus 1, which goes by another name. It goes by the name of secant. That is a direct identity. So check mark. All right, letter H. You got some differences. Again, both of them are cosine. You best be careful of that minus. Now this time, take a look. That sign is distributed, but don't distribute it right now. Wait till we get this thing expanded out, and we're going to need some space. All right, so carefully, let's write down everything we got. We got 1 plus sine of x, and that is multiplied to. I mean, literally, this is multiplied. It's not sine sum formula or sine difference formula. Inside, that's what we got. We got cosine sum, we got cosine difference. So expanding out, cosine sum would be the cosine of the first, cosine of the second, opposite, so that will be a minus because that's plus, sine of the first, sine of the second. Don't need parentheses. Now, that changes here. We do need parentheses because that negative does need to be distributed through the expansion, but you've got to expand it first. Don't think that that negative can be distributed. It cannot. So cosine first, cosine second, opposite, sine first, sine of the second. Sine x. Bracket. There we go. Now, I'm going to take the negative through. While I'm at it, I'm going to evaluate some of these, or should we simplify first? Let's do some algebra. Just simplify. Take the negative through. I think some things will cancel, which will make a little bit less writing, I guess, in the long run. So we got the cosine pi 6, cosine x, minus sine pi 6 sine x. And then distributing the negative would give you negative cosine pi 6 sine x. Nope, cosine x. Careful. Minus. All I'm doing is distributing this negative through. If I can line it up. There we go. Sine pi 6 sine x. Now, I did that because I think some things cancel and combine also. So I'm looking at u and u. Those cancel outright. These are like terms, which will combine into negative sine pi 6 sine of x minus sine pi 6 sine x is, careful, I'll keep the bracket just so you know that I'm only simplifying inside. That would be negative 2 sine pi 6 sine x. All right, that is a constant. Pi 6 is 30 degrees. The sine of pi 6 is 1/2, which is friendly. So we have 1 plus the sine of x. This will be multiplied to, let's keep the bracket though. There's really no point to it right now. But negative 2 times 1/2 times the sine of x. Sine x. Well, negative 2 times negative 1/2 is a negative 1. We're getting there. 1 plus the sine of x times, let's turn this into parentheses, that would be negative sine x. Sine of x times negative sine of x is negative sine squared x, aka cosine squared x. Man, I hope you're the right side there. Oh, yes. It is, with a little justification. This is not the exact identity, so we would have to say somewhere off to the side, you know, sine squared x plus cosine squared x is equal to 1. There you go. We can do this. All right. H comes after HI. Letter I. Let's see. You know what? Let's save that for the next video.